Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you once again for joining me in this installment of the weekly webinar. Today's topic is going to be coping with financial stress. Now, this topic is very important because nowadays, with the economy changing, the economy rebounding, I guess, coming back after the pandemic, but many of us perhaps not at the same levels of income that we used to have prior to the pandemic. This can add stress to our lives. Or perhaps we're struggling in putting together a budget, controlling our finances, and this can lead also to stress. So this webinar is designed for us to get tips and strategies on how to deal with financial stress. My name is Oscar Cordova, and I'm the external affairs specialist here at Affinity, in charge of the financial education efforts for all of the areas that we cover. Very good. Let's see. Before we begin, a quick disclaimer. The information provided to all of you this evening is intended to be for informational purposes only. It is not intended to be legal, tax, or financial advice. Every person's circumstances are different, and if you need or want to have a conversation one-on-one with a professional in these different areas that can help you, feel free to get in touch with me, and I can definitely make that happen. I can have somebody from our legal, tax, or financial teams to sit down with you and give you advice. Okay. All right, so let's get this show on the road. It's not the load that breaks you down, it's the way you carry it. And this is very true. You know, everybody has stress, everybody has different loads that they have to carry, different worries, different responsibilities, but it's the way we see life, right? With what perspective do we see life? And so this, as I mentioned before, this presentation is meant for us to make things easier, for us to understand how our finances can be perceived and how we can manage it to make sure that we find ourselves in a good financial situation, lowering those stress levels that could be hurting us right now. Okay. So what's financial stress? We've all been there. Money gets tight, debt problems loom, and our stress levels go up, and they keep climbing. And maybe we'll start snapping at our family, we'll start snapping at our co-workers, and that is if we're still employed, right? Because for those of us, or those of you that may not be employed, that may be a little different. But when we start snapping at people, relatives, family, co-workers, it's not even that is anything that they've done. You know, it's not what's happening around you or around your mind is not their fault. But us with stress, sometimes we feel like we're unable to function effectively, and we feel this at home and at work because we're always trying to juggle different balls in the air. And financial stress makes this even more difficult. So sometimes when we have a confrontation with a family member or a coworker, unfortunately, and I've seen this happen in many situations, we may say something that we don't mean, but once we say it, it's really hard to take it back. So we just have to be careful whenever we feel stressed out to take some time, stop, and try to not engage with people that don't even know what's going on, or it's not even their fault. Okay. When you face those financial challenges, remember that you must face them with a clear focus and a calm mind in order to succeed with your finances. So as mentioned before, whenever we feel that like we're stressed, we want to stop, we want to take some time, we want to calm ourselves down. Remember also that stress is the enemy here. So we must find ways to decrease or eliminate it from our daily lives. Okay. Okay, so signs of financial stress. So what are some signs? The first step will be to recognize that we have a problem. And usually that's the first step. In order to address a problem, we need to recognize that we have one. Many people live in denial and may be convinced that they have everything under control until they realize that they have this weight in their on their shoulders, and it has just gotten too heavy to bear. So the first sign is, are you arguing with your spouse and family members more often? Money-related fights or not, right? This is something to be on the lookout. When we have these types of confrontation, as mentioned before, we may say or do stuff that we may regret afterwards. And these words that we may say, or this behavior that we may act, can really deter our relationships with our family. Another sign of financial stress: are you hiding bills and receipts from your spouse? And are you doing this so you don't get caught spending money? So are you spending and feeling shameful about it? That's something to be on the lookout. Also, something else is the fact that you may be suffering from financial stress because we should be able to buy stuff or items that we like. You know, we shouldn't be hiding receipts. We shouldn't be hiding bills from our spouses. We should have that level of trust, right? And in order for us to get to that point and to have not feel ashamed, not feel like you're hiding something, is by having a financial plan, is knowing that everything's been taken care of, and whatever is left over that you have in your pocket, that you can spend with a clear focus, right? You can spend that money not feeling ashamed, not feeling like you should be using it for something else. All right. Third, are you having difficulty falling asleep or staying asleep at night? Okay. This is very important. Not getting a good night's rest is going to make you tired throughout the day. And this will, and being tired will add to the stress you're already feeling. So we wake up in the morning, we're ready to go to work or find work, for those of you that are not employed. But if you're not ready energy-wise, if you haven't had a good night's sleep, it's like a snowball effect. That's gonna keep on adding on stress to the point that people may feel like they can't go on, right? So being able to rest and sleep at night is a good indicator. If you're having difficulty, that could be a sign of having financial stress. Lastly, are you stress eating? Have your eating habits changed and you are ordering out more or turning to comfort or junk foods, right? So this is also important because people nowadays are eating more junk food than before, okay? And this junk food may be good while having it, but overeating these kinds of food will definitely have a negative effect on our bodies as well as our health. It may cause you to feel even worse, making stress levels increase, okay? All right, so 5 steps to reduce financial stress. Now that we've defined stress and that we actually have seen the different signs that we could have in order to recognize that we have the stress, now what are we going to do about it, right? So the first step will be to deal with the physical symptoms of stress first, okay? So we need to fix those bad eating habits. So we want to start introducing more vegetables and fruits to our diet in order to feel better. Let's cut the carbs and sugars, and that eventually will make you feel tired and it's taking the energy away from being productive. Also, let's start exercising. Working out relieves stress and will help you with your weight loss. You can visit your doctor for your doctor to put you on a plan to reduce stress through changing your daily habits or even with medical treatments. Going to your doctor and discussing your stress levels with him is highly recommended. And it's easily seen this way. If you have, and I usually use this example all the time, if I have a vehicle and something breaks, I'm not going to attempt to fix it because I'm not a mechanic. I go to someone that is an expert and can help me with my vehicle. With this stress, if you feel like you're having high levels of stress, there's nothing wrong, and you shouldn't feel ashamed of going to your doctor and discussing this problem with him. They are more, they've gone to school and they have different ways that can help people with their stress levels. Step 2, you want to address the emotional burden. Okay, so stress is also a kind of like a psychological thing, and if it's just building up inside of you and you don't have a productive way to resolve it, you need to talk to someone about it and vent. Let them know how you feel. Now, that person could be a friend, could be a family member, and that someone may not even need to give you any advice back. You know, you may not be looking for advice, but you're just looking for somebody to listen to you, so you can vent and let them know about your frustrations and your issues. So just having that someone to talk to, or someone that just listens to you, is very helpful. Sometimes people may turn to alcohol or cigarettes because of stress, right? And these are considered actions that are contributing to our self-destructive ways, because alcohol and cigarettes are not really good for you. So we need to recognize this behavior and stop it or avoid it altogether. Lastly, we need to find time for ourselves, right? So in order to lower our stress levels, we want to go back to those hobbies or those things that we used to do in the past, and we really used to enjoy a lot. If we find that we're stressing all day about our finances, little by little, we are going to forget about those activities, forget about that stress if we start doing those activities that we really enjoy doing. For example, in my case, through the pandemic, I used to live very stressed out. My wife had lost her job. We only had one income, and the bills needed to be paid, right? So I read in an article information about this, about what I'm explaining to you guys this evening. And that's what led me to develop this presentation for all of you. And I went back to playing the acoustic guitar. I used to play many years back. And I had actually forgotten that I had a guitar at home, and that I pretty much had ignored it for many years. So I started going back to play little by little, and this really helped me kind of like calm down and think about my finances and my other problems with a better mind, you know? Step 3, you want to get real with your finances, right? So once you've achieved a state of being calm and not too stressed out, you must look at your finances in 4 different groups. You want to sit down and you want to categorize your finances and your financial issues. And there's 4 categories that you should be implementing. And the categories are, what are my financial issues that are important, the financial issues that are unimportant, financial issues that are changeable, and then financial issues that are unchangeable. Those are the 4 categories that you should be considering when categorizing your financial picture. So putting them in these different buckets, it's important because it helps you recognize that there may be things that you cannot change. And there may be things that are more important than others, right? So if there's something that we don't have the control over, we cannot change it, why are we stressing about it? You know? You want to gather your thoughts and concentrate on those things that are important and that are changeable in order to do something about them and reduce those stress levels that you're feeling now. So again, just to put things in perspective, you sit down, you take a look at your finances. What can I change? What are those things that I don't have any control over and I cannot change? And for those things, then there is no reason you should be stressing about those, because they're just going to happen, and you can't do anything about that. But for those items that you can, those are the items that once you put a plan together to start changing them, you're going to feel great, and you're going to start reducing those stress levels. Okay. Step 4, you want to seek professional help. So with professional help, as mentioned before, I said about a doctor, right? If you want to go down that route, talk to your primary physician. But there's also other kinds of professionals out there. You guys being members of Affinity, you guys are entitled to 2 different services that we provide our members for no cost whatsoever. And these services are relationships that we have established with two counseling agencies that can help you understand your finances, put a budget plan together, start paying off your debt, start kind of like recover your sense of well-being financially. And these 2 agencies that we've partnered up with, one of them, the name is Navicor Solutions and Consolidated Credit. And I've included the 2 phone numbers here on this slide. If you guys are interested in setting up a call or a meeting with one of these professionals, feel free to reach out, or you can always reach out to your local branch and they'll be able to get in touch with them and set up an appointment for you. They do it over the phone. They've done it via Zoom or in person if they're local. I know Navicor Solutions are located towards the Central and South Jersey. So for all of you living in Connecticut or New York, perhaps a Zoom session or a phone call will be preferable. And as mentioned before, these services are free of cost. So these are resources that we've made available to our membership to help them with their financial well-being. Okay. Lastly, you want to recover with resilience. So once you put up, you put in action some of the items discussed in this presentation, you may start to feel some of that weight lift from your shoulders. Remember to follow through with, I'm sorry, remember to follow through with any of the plans that you've put together going forward in order to see the end of the tunnel. So whether it's a plan that you've decided to put for yourself, a plan that you've designed with your spouse, or even if it's a plan that was put together by one of these counselors from Navicor or Consolidated Credit, you want to make the name of the game here is to stay disciplined. So if you guys put a plan together, you want to stick to it, and then you'll see that those stress levels are going to start to go down. Also remember that if you have any negative marks on your credit, once you start changing that behavior and start with your new plan to get out of debt or improve your credit, negative marks will not stay on your report forever. They will stay there for a predetermined period of time, which is somewhere about 5 to 7 years. And many of you may think that that's a very long time, right? But they're not there forever. And if you change your behavior, if you change your ways, and you start working towards having good credit, these negative remarks will eventually go down, and not go down, go out, right? There will be, those negative remarks will be erased from your credit report. And then at the once they start falling off and you're back on track, the name of the game is pretty much to make your payments on time. Don't miss any payments, though. Don't overspend, and try to like have a financial plan in place in order for you to not only pay your bills on time and have enough money to spend on yourself, but also to be able to save towards bigger and better financial goals down the road. Okay. Very good. So this concludes my presentation. At this point, I would like to open up the floor for any questions that any one of you may have. Just while you guys type those questions, you guys can use the Q&A option on your panel. While you guys type those questions, I just want to remind you that this presentation is being recorded. And this evening, as soon as this webinar is over, you guys will receive a thank you email for attending, along with the link to be able to rewatch the presentation if you guys missed something or you guys want to share the presentation with another friend or family member. And the email also will include the link to sign up for next week's webinar, which I believe is going to be on, let's see here, I have it, it's going to be on auto buying. So next week's topic, if any one of you is interested in buying a vehicle in the near future, you guys don't want to miss it, because I'll be talking about the different strategies to on buying a vehicle, going to a dealership, and being able to land the best deal. Okay. So let me just take a look if there's any pending questions at the moment. I don't see any questions right now. So with that said, I would like to bring this webinar to a close. I want to thank everybody for attending. Thank you for being present. I hope this was informative to all of you. Just be on the lookout for my email with the resources and information about this webinar, as well as any future webinars. And I hope to see you guys next week. Thank you so much once again for, oh, wait a minute. I think there's a question that just came through. All right, very good. So it says, when recovering from financial stress, will there be anything wrong with using multiple accounts? Absolutely not. And even less with Affinity. There may be some financial institutions out there that if you open multiple accounts, you may need to do something to avoid a monthly fee, right? Many banks out there require you to have some kind of direct deposit or some kind of like minimum balance there for your account to be free. With Affinity, your checking or your savings accounts are absolutely free, no strings attached. You don't need to do anything. So with your answering your question, if you want to establish multiple accounts, multiple savings accounts, or even checking accounts, in order for you to sort out your finances and make things even more clear and more organized for you, absolutely, you can definitely do so. You're not going to be affected with paying extra monthly fees for the account or maintenance fees. The accounts are absolutely free. And actually, not only there's nothing wrong with it, I highly advise it. That if you are a person or you guys are persons that want to keep everything separate and organized, this will definitely be a great way to do so. Okay. Thank you so much for the question. All right, let me see if there's anything else pending. All right, I don't see any other questions at the moment. So with that said, I'll bring this webinar once again to a close. Thank you everybody for attending, and hope to see you next week at the next installment of the weekly webinar by Affinity Federal Credit Union. Thank you so much for being here. Hope you guys have a wonderful evening. See you guys next week. Bye-bye.